to your brain on air. The program will begin shortly. Enjoy.
Вы слушаете свой мозг в прямом эфире. Программа скоро начнется. Приятного просмотра.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Your Brain on Air. I'm your host, YBOA Larson, and Bobby Kennedy is the only health secretary I know of to see a snake oil salesman and ask, how much for the natural extracts? I've heard it's better for you than beef tallow. All right, folks, welcome to a beautiful Wednesday. I am so excited. Tomorrow's Thanksgiving, everybody. I am going to have a little treat for you available on the channel tomorrow. It won't be a traditional episode. You can't call it that, but, you know, it'll be something. I hope that you're all having a wonderful Wednesday. I hope that you have a wonderful Thanksgiving planned. Honestly, I only bring up RFK because he actually, I don't know if anybody else saw this, he went ahead 11 months ago for Thanksgiving last year, and he deep-fried a turkey for Thanksgiving. And I've never had a deep-fried, oh wait, no, I have. I went to Thanksgiving last year, actually, 2024, and a very kind gentleman, invited us to his I believe it was Christmas or Thanksgiving, and I can't remember which exactly, but he had a deep-fried turkey, and it was delicious. The flavor was locked in. I've never had something better. It was delicious. I really enjoyed it. I had a good time with it, but he gave I don't know if any of you know how to deep fry a turkey. It's pretty tough, and apparently you can burn yourself really easily doing it. Let's take a look at our health secretary right here in this clip. He's got the beef tallow. This is how we cook the Maha way. He's got a cube, what looks like a cube of fat. And there's a big thing of oil that's just hot. And now he's lowering a turkey into the hot oil. And you can hear that. Wait till it stops making noise. Put it in a little more. Apparently Cheryl Hines doesn't eat turkey. I didn't know that. Who the fuck doesn't eat turkey? Cheryl Hines. Okay, that's a really weird move. All right, listen, I've normally been a defender of Cheryl Hines because I like her acting. I think that she can be funny. You know, I don't understand the amount of hate that people love to levy at her. It's like the hate that Melania gets. Melania is a Christmas queen. I love her. I'm glad that she's back in the White House. She welcomed the Christmas tree to the White House with utter disgust on her face. It was awesome. Hold on a minute. Damn it. We're going on a Clip Farm episode because, folks, it's the show before Thanksgiving. We're not going to take ourselves too terrible seriously. But if you did not see Melania Trump welcome to the White House Christmas tree, and she seems like she's really, really not happy to be doing any of this. She seems like one of the most miserable people. Here it is. She's walking. She's like, oh, yay, this big-ass fir pine or whatever that's gonna get needles all over my house. She's got she got a balayage or whatever, that hairstyle that's like, she's got highlights in it. And then she turns and she just waves. And then that's it. That's the beautiful moment. That is the beautiful moment we get with Melania. Anyways, yeah, RFK's cooking a turkey. You leave it in there for 40 minutes, and it'll be perfect. Cheryl still doesn't want to eat it.
All right, this is 40 minutes later.
And then he pulls it out, and then that's just, it's a golden, perfect turkey. Perfect. God, I love his voice.
Gotta let it drain a little.
Well, yeah, I imagine. That looks like a perfect turkey, my guy. Deep fried, golden, like got that.
Delicious.
Yeah. Hell yeah, it is. Thank you, RFK. We really appreciate that. Yeah, shush. No. You don't get to play an ad. Not during now. Not when I'm in the middle of a show. Folks, enough of that. I wanted to have a little bit of fun because it is the holidays and whatnot. You know, the White House is decorating. RFK is He is cooking up, I don't know, bear or something like that. He's got like a seal from Antarctica on his table, and I love it. It's really fun. I enjoy it. There's a lot to cover today. Let's just go ahead and let's jump into it because we can stop talking about Thanksgiving. We'll talk about it later. It's fun. It's a fun day. We're not taking ourselves that seriously today. Folks, our first story, we're jumping into a major one for Minnesotans. If you don't know, finger pointing has begun over a report linking Minnesota tax dollars to a Somali terror group. What? Now, if you are a taxpayer in Minnesota, you might be going, wait a minute, what? My tax dollars to a Somali terror group? I know. Sounds a little shocking. I mean, it's a bombshell, but apparently this investigative report published on November 19th in the City Journal, a publication of a conservative Manhattan Institute, has exposed what has been described as a sprawling network of welfare fraud in Minnesota, allegedly diverting billions in taxpayer dollars to the Al-Qaeda-linked Somali terrorist group Al-Shabaab. Authored by journalist Ryan Throp and conservative activist Christopher F. Rufo, the piece titled "The Largest Funder of Al-Shabaab is the Minnesota Taxpayer" draws on interviews with federal counterterrorism sources, former FBI officials, and law enforcement veterans. It claims that under Democratic Governor Tim Walz's administration lacks oversight of generous welfare programs has enabled fraud rings, primarily involving members of Minnesota's large Somali American community, to siphon funds through fake nonprofits and shell companies. These illicit gains, and the report asserts, are then remitted back to Somalia via informal hawala money transfer networks, where a portion, estimated in the millions, ultimately bolsters Al-Shabaab's operations. Interesting, right? I mean, I thought that was going to build another dome that the Vikings can lose in. I was thinking that was being funneled into Minneapolis. I don't know. Maybe it was going to be something that we could have another public shaming where, Philly can come spit in our mouths again when it was supposed to be our Super Bowl year, and they came and they won. They came in our mouths that year, folks. It was supposed to be our year. The Minneapolis Miracle gave everybody a shred of hope that would be our year, winning the Super Bowl on our turf, and then Philadelphia came and said, nope, we're gonna run, you have to grease the poles in order to make sure we don't climb them, because we are gonna ruin your city. I was hoping that we would have maybe the downtown refurbished to have another, big public lashing, but that's Vikings fans, that's Minnesotans. They're gentle and they're sweet, even when you rape them. These revelations have ignited national outrage, with critics labeling it as a national security scandal. Interesting, right? At the heart of the report are the interconnected fraud operations exploiting Minnesota's welfare systems, which authors describe as one of the nation's most permissive. The infamous Feeding Our Future scandal, which defrauded over $250 million in federal child nutrition funds during the COVID-19 pandemic, serves as a flagship example. 51 of the 53 defendants had Somali names, according to the court records cited in the report. Similar patterns emerged in the Medicaid Housing Stabilization Services (HHS) program, which ballooned from the projected $3 million to $61 million in payouts within months. And autism service claims, this is one that we commented about, which has exploded in recent years, and it contributes largely to the overdiagnosis of autism in our state that we're having. But nobody wants to talk about that. They'll just go like, oh, we have better ways of catching it, and that's why the autism rate is exploding. It's not because of government programs that people like to take advantage of. No! And you're a bigot if you ask those questions. It's wrong of you. It's wrong of you to ask where your money's going to. Anyways, with the autism services, which surged from $3 million in 2018 to hear this, folks, $399 million in 2023. That is over a 100% increase. It's ridiculous. It's from 3 million to almost 400 million in the course of about 6 years. These schemes allegedly involved billing non-existent services, such as ghost housing for the homeless or fabricated therapies for children with autism, often run by politically connected Somali-owned entities. Weird, right? That's just weird. I mean, like, I don't think that every Somali is the one guy at the beginning of Arabian Nights, like Arabian Days. They're not like mysterious, people opening their coats with like gold jingly shit and they're ready to scheme you or anything. I'm not saying that that's what every Somali is, where you turn a corner and you hear, ah, and they're like, they have a turban on and like, they're like, what can I interest you in, sir? It's not that kind of a vibe. But it is weird, the amount of Somali-owned entities that are doing this. Since Walt took office in 2019, at least 28 such scandals have surfaced, costing taxpayers ultimately billions, with former FBI officials attributing the most large-scale rings to the Somali community. U.S. Attorney Joe Thompson, quoted in the report, called it a web of fraud, stealing funds meant for vulnerable Minnesotans. I mean, listen, I'm not saying that we have to target the Somali community or anything. I'm not saying that we have to specifically call them out. I'm saying we have to root out fraud wherever it's coming from. And if it happens to be coming from the Somali community, I mean, what else do you want me to do? What's interesting is the report's most explosive claim is that the international flow of these funds. Federal counterterrorism sources confirm that stolen dollars, this is confirmed, are funneled to Somalia through Hawalas, clan-based, unregulated transfer systems operating in al-Shabaab-controlled territories, where the group extracts a cut from virtually all remittances. In 2023 alone, the Somali diaspora, including Minnesotans, sent $1.7 billion home, surpassing Somalia's national budget. A retired Seattle police detective on a joint counterterrorism task force described the cash flights from Minneapolis-St. Paul Airport to the Somali Hawalas, noting that the senders were often on DHS benefits. What? I mean, whatever, I guess, if you don't want to listen, the reason I'm making this the first story is so that nobody can, ignore it, and nobody can not talk about it, because this is an important thing. Minnesotans need to address that this community in particular is stealing from us, is stealing billions and sending it to a foreign country, and we have to debate whether or not that is something we can allow. I'm debating whether or not we want to allow foreign payments. Everybody goes, well, everybody has this, they could have family in the foreign countries and they might have to take care of them or whatever. They can figure something out for themselves. They live in a foreign country, and if they choose to live in America, they can have American dollars. But until they want to come to our country, I don't see why we need to be funneling billions to a foreign nation. That doesn't make any sense to me. Maybe I'm a racist. Call me racist for that, but I'm not. I don't know what to say. One anonymous source starkly stated the largest funder of al-Shabaab is the Minnesota taxpayer, while former Minneapolis Joint Terrorism Task Force added, an official added that every cent is sent back to Somalia's benefits, al-Shabaab in some way. This linkage, the authors argue, transforms local welfare's abuse into unwitting support for global jihad, with al-Shabaab using the funds for recruitment, weapons, and attacks. Pretty cool, right? I mean, wouldn't you want to know if your tax dollars were going to the al-Shabaab, right? The report has sparked fierce partisan finger-pointing. Minnesota Republicans, including Representative Republican Kristen Robbins and Senator Jim Abler, demanded a federal fraud probe, which honestly is a good idea, blasting Waltz for fostering a failed system that funds terrorists. Figures like Rufo amplified calls on X to revoke temporary protected status for Somalis, which, let's be real, guys, that's not going to change very much, and I think that actually... it's just more of a show. I agree. We shouldn't be taking any more in, but the issue is they're here. We have to get them out. That's the issue. We cannot... And the ones that are natural-born citizens, we can't get them out in any meaningful way. If they're already naturalized, if they came to this country and they married in and you can't revoke their citizenship at that point, then just throw them in jail. At that point, if they're committing crimes, just throw them in jail and then throw away the key. That's the way you solve it. But no one wants to say that. Anyways, framing it as a Trump-era priority, Democrats, including Walz's office, have largely been silent. They have not been commenting on the issue, with U.S. Attorney Thompson emphasizing ongoing prosecutions but not addressing terrorism ties. Progressive outlets like the Minnesota Reformer dismissed the piece as sloppy right-wing propaganda, noting similar unproven claims dating back to 2018, and arguing that federal prosecutors would charge terror links if evidence existed. Critics also highlighted the report's reliance on anonymous sources as a potential to stoke anti-immigrant sentiment in Minnesota's Somali community, home to over 80,000 residents, by the way. No. Listen, I'm not in favor of deporting the Somali community. I'm in favor of importing the ones that want to naturalize and be like Americans, and the ones that want to act like a certain way, like criminals, we can put them in jail. I don't think that that's a bad idea or a racist idea. Let's look at this clip, folks. I think that this is just something we should start on.
Fraud. Let that word just set in for a minute. And it's front and center in Tim Walz's Minnesota, where a massive scandal involving taxpayer dollars...
All right, one thing I want to get out here, you can't blame Tim Walz 100% for this issue. I hate when people try to do that. They're like, this is a Obama era, whatever. Or like, Obama didn't do it. His administration may have fostered an environment for ISIS to arise. Tim Walz's, administration may have fostered an environment for fraud to rise, but I will not blame him directly for this. I mean, I will a little bit, because you have to hold people accountable, but you cannot say, Tim Walz is importing the Puerto Ricans that are stealing people's phones. That's not happening.
Being funneled to Al-Shabaab's terrorists is unraveling.
There's been a sprawling web of schemes exploiting state programs to the tune of possibly $1 billion or even more, according to the U.S. Attorney for Minnesota, and it's prompting state lawmakers to call for a federal investigation.
Minnesota State Senator Jordan Rasmussen joins us now. Senator, thank you. Why did the state feel they needed to call in the federal authorities? Why didn't you guys deal with this at a local level or state level?
Governor Tim Walz has turned Minnesota...
This guy is broadcasting from Fergus Falls, Minnesota. I've been to Fergus Falls. It's a dump. A dump. I'm sorry. If you're from Fergus Falls, I love you as a person, but that town itself, there's not a stinky pile of shit that is like located just south of Detroit Lakes. There's not a worse pile of shit, except for Pelican Rapids. They suck too.
Into America's fraud capital. And we've seen upwards of $1 billion go to criminal networks. And we're concerned right now that those dollars are going to Al-Shabaab, a terrorist organization operating in Somalia. And so that's why we asked the U.S. Attorney to investigate this, to track this money.
So where does it go from here? And how long are we talking about? Because the one program, the Minnesota Medicaid Housing Stabilization Program, that it was kind of the root of this fraud.
Let's take a look at the HHS program billing. Back in 2020, the estimated cost was around $2.6 million. And then next year, it's post-COVID, sure, maybe it ballooned a little bit, but maybe we can get it down in a few years. It ballooned a little bit from 2.6 to 21 million, right? Like, that's not, maybe you could justify it. Maybe it's post-COVID, maybe we're recovering. Biden-era spending, okay. 2022, just a year later, it doubles from 21 million to $42 million. Okay, now you're starting to go like, well, okay. Now we're 2 years out of COVID. We don't have nearly as many government shit, just like shuffling people around. Why is the cost going up so significantly? They should have picked up something as early as 2021, and definitely they should have noticed something in 2022 when it doubled. More, I would have said something. All right, whatever. Sure, maybe you let the 42 million pass. Sure, why not? Next year, 2023, it doesn't double. Thankfully enough, it doesn't double. It doesn't go to like 80 or something million. It goes to 74 million. Another 30 million added on top of the original. 32 million to be specific. And then That, let alone that being ridiculous. In the span of 3 years alone, it going from 2.6 to 74 million. We're going to go ahead and then we're going to look at the numbers. It jumps in 2024. Does anyone want to take a guess at the number? $104 million. $104 million from the last year's $74 million and 4 years ago, 2.6. Where is all this going? Where is it all what possibly? And then just from the estimates, because we don't have this last year's numbers, 2025, because the year's not over yet. But assuming based on the first 6 month period, January to June, we have $61 million already spent. So you look at these numbers and you go, where is it going? I know people who needed to write a letter to the electric company so they didn't get their heat shut off in the winter. And for some reason, there's people in the cities, and it's mostly the cities. I'm telling you that, it's mostly the cities, because I don't see that many burqas when I'm walking around a small town in northern Minnesota. But it's these small communities that are rooting out millions of dollars, and you might drive past every Minnesota small town has that one trailer park that everybody drives by and they feel bad, and they're like, oh shit, they're having a really shitty Christmas, whoever lives there. Yeah, we have communities of those people who are struggling, but for some odd reason, the state is willing to shell out $104 million last year to potential terrorism networks. Let that sink. Let it sit with you. How does that feel? How does that make you feel? I mean, listen, I'm not normally a person to be guided by my emotions. I'm a person to be guided by logic. Logically speaking, I don't even have to involve emotions. I don't have to get womanly about it. I can get the left hemisphere of my brain. Listen, logically speaking, if people are stealing from your community this much, there's no justified cause for that. This scandal, it's underscoring vulnerabilities in the U.S. welfare system amid rising immigration from high-risk regions. Then that's not controversial to say. We should really consider the regions we're importing, raising questions about vetting, oversight, and the unintended consequences of remittances in conflict zones. If substantiated, it could prompt congressional hearings, enhanced counterterrorism monitoring of hawalas, the kind of shit that they use to send the money, which I would love, and reforms to public programs like Medicaid. Definitely, I think we would have to look into that. However, without indictments tying specific fraudsters to Al-Shabaab, the claims, they risk remaining speculative, fueling cultural divides rather than solutions. Unfortunately, as Minnesota grapples with the recovery of these frauds, estimated at billions, the report serves as a stark warning. Unchecked generosity can inadvertently arm America's adversaries, and that's something we all need to remember. But, fuck it, right? Fuck it. Who really cares? Who really gives a shit if we're arming? Listen, America, we've armed third world countries that we didn't give a shit about, or that we did give a shit about because maybe they had resources that we liked, or maybe they were in our national interest somehow. And we just, I don't know, maybe we funded a dictatorship to be overthrown there, even if whatever. Maybe a democratically elected person wasn't aligning with our country's values, and then maybe we funded a little insurgency in that South African or South American country, and then maybe that we allowed a dictator to rise just because they were friendly to the West, but they were fervently anti-democracy. And maybe things like that are happening nowadays, like with the Ukraine. And maybe people who don't know anything about the conflict, they just hear the headlines and they see the Ukraine flag being flown in Congress, and they see Kamala and everybody holding up their fists going, Slava Ukraine, stand with Ukraine. And then they feel good about themselves and they go, we cannot abandon a democracy. But then they don't do any of their own research. They'll tell you, hey, you sound a little right-wing. Maybe you should start looking into other news sources. Maybe you should broaden your news scope. And then you go, what is the vast expanse of your news scope? What is the vast expanse when you just sit in front of either your phone or MSNBC and then you download the latest opinion about how Zelensky is a masterful representative of democracy, even though nobody talks about the last time he's had an election. Nobody wants to talk about any of that. But he is a beaming beacon of democracy, and don't ask any questions because you don't know anything about NATO or the encroachment on Russia's southern border. You don't know anything about the history of the region. You just want to say what maybe will make you sound better at a dinner party, and you go, we got to stand up for democracy. Democracy. That's every fucking liberal's favorite word is democracy. Democracy. It's democracy is at stake. Stop using that as though it's your thing. Democracy worked. People voted and they loved Trump last time. Sorry, democracy worked. Democracy was practiced and everybody says that it's gone now. Every person on the left says it's gone now. And apparently that's what happened. It's just it's over. Democracy is over. But also, like, Ukraine is a fervent, shining city on the hill. I don't know what else to say. The logical inconsistencies of these people are ridiculous. Folks, let's go ahead and let's just take a break for an ad, because I feel like that'll help get the air out of the, like, let's just sizzle it down, let's calm it down. Because I think we really need to help out this community in the meantime, guys. Support the Minnesota Somali Defense Fund. The real Minnesotans stand with our Somali neighbors when they need to send money home, fast, discreetly, with zero pesky questions from the FBI accountants. For years, your tax dollars have already been doing the heavy lifting through child nutrition programs, autism centers that never quite seem to be open, and the housing services for clients who don't technically exist. Now you can just cut out the middleman and contribute directly. Every donation to the Minnesota Somali Defense Fund is routed through the trusted community partners like time-honored Hawala networks, straight to the people who matter most. Brave defenders keeping Somalia safe from stability and Western influence. Whether it's new technicals, recruitment bonuses, or just keeping the lights on in the training camps, your gift makes an immediate, immeasurable difference. Best of all, thanks to Minnesota's legendary oversight standards, not 1 cent is wasted on audits, receipts, or inconvenient terrorism watch lists. None of it. Click below or give generously today at the Somali Defense Fund, code YBOA, and that'll help you out, and then it'll let them know that I sent you. Because nothing says Minnesota nice like knowing your money is in the right hands, somewhere in the South Gulf of Aden doing the Lord's work, one improvised explosive at a time. Folks, let's hop into our second story, because this one's fun. This one's really fun because it's the Trump administration once again, and I get to criticize one of the secretaries, because, guys, I will just like to say this. Can you tell me one of Biden's former secretaries? One? I'll wait. Not you can't, the fatty who was secretary at HHS before RFK. The fatty who, like, was old and, like, looked like she, smoked cigs all the time. Yeah, let's just look back and see if we remember any of them. I don't think you do. That's what I kind of like about the Trump administration, is that every character, even if it's from the Secretary of Transportation to Pam Bondi, the AG, there's always fun characters being picked, which I really, really like. And this is a new thing coming from out of one of his transportation secretaries. Folks, Sean P. Duffy, Secretary of Transportation, says, "Enough filthy fucks in the sky," as he teases a new dress code drop and more reforms for flying to bring back civility to all you pigs. All you pigs, it's over. All your days of showing up to the airport in monster, Cookie Monster pajama pants, you're done, bitch. Take that DS that you were gonna, distract yourself with on the plane, throw it out the window. No more. No more. If you show up to the airport with pillows and a blanket, we're kicking your ass out. We're kicking your ass out. On November 19th, folks, U.S. Transportation Secretary Sean P. Duffy, a Trump appointee and former congressman, unveiled a nationwide initiative called The Golden Age of Travel Starts With You through the Department of Transportation, the DOT. The civility campaign aims to restore courtesy and class to air travel amid a surge in disruptive incidents, positioning the current era as a potential renaissance of flying, evoking the glamour of the mid-20th century of aviation when passengers dressed up and behaved with decorum. You know that age of like Mad Men, where, you know, you can sip some whiskey, you can maybe touch up on a skirty lady, you know what I mean? This is back in the day where they actually had to weigh them. I've flown recently, and I will tell you this. I think that we should get the males out. I don't want males being my flight attendants. They're always weirdly attentive. They're one of two. They're always either like too cold to be in the job. They're always like, what do you want anything to drink? And it's like, not from you. Or they're like raised by their mom and like way too attentive. And they're like, can I get you anything else? Can I get you anything else? And you're like, Jesus, oh my God, enough. Okay, your like eagerness is like whatever. Like, for some reason, the female body just does it right. The female, it doesn't, for some reason, it doesn't compute with a big burly guy with a beard trying to give you chips. It doesn't feel right. When you have, like a stable figure, a motherly figure in front of you, that's just how it is. That's how society works, and I'm sorry. I think the male flight attendants, it's not a man's field. Listen. I'm tired of men encroaching on women-dominated fields. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. We need less men in, what is this called? Is it pink collar work? Yes, pink collar. We need less men in pink collar. Enough. Stop pretending that you're worth anything more than the blue collar job, like working as an electrician. Enough. That's my position on it. Duffy's statements, shared via the DOT, press released in a nostalgic video set to Frank Sinatra's Come Fly With Me, highlighted a stark contrast, archival footage of suited travelers giving way to modern clips of in-flight brawls, bare feet on screens, and passenger meltdowns. The campaign isn't about new regulations, but sparking a nationwide conversation to make flying safer, more enjoyable, especially during the record-breaking Thanksgiving rush projected to see over 6 million air travelers. If you're flying for the holidays, fuck you. You shouldn't be alive. You shouldn't be here. I don't know why. You are clogging up the airways. You're clogging up. No one wants to see you. Do you think your family, if you couldn't be bothered to come stay with your mom a week in advance, what are you doing? What are you doing? I don't understand. Why even show up at that point? It's not worth it. Let's take a look at this. It's the U.S. Department of Transportation's video that they dropped. I'm excited for this. This is going to get us copyrighted.
We build airports to launch a golden age of travel across the skies. We respected the dignity of air travel and the men and women who made the dream possible.
Don't say women, because it was men flying the plane. Let's get real, people. It was men flying the plane. That's really what they want to go back to. And listen, enough of the sexism. Enough of the shit where it's like, oh, I only want to see male pilots or whatever. Listen. If you want to go back to the golden age of flying, that's what we're going to do. But we're bringing back, like, I don't know what it's called. Let me try to think. Smoking on planes. We're bringing that back. If we're bringing back the only male pilots and, like, we're weighing flight attendants again to make sure they're only 90 pounds, we're going to bring back the old school ways of flying. Pan America is coming back. And nobody's seen a Pan Am flight in years.
Flying was a bastion of civility, but today...
Can I just say something? All the clips they're playing, fatigue. I'm sorry, but I'm getting fatigue. Listen, I think the real problem here is that flying's gotten ghetto. I think flying has gotten ghetto because, like, you know what's hilarious is that I was able to afford to travel. I'm not a businessman. I'm not like someone out there I'm not flying to Chicago to eat lobster, to make deals or anything like that. I am flying because my, what's his name? My fiance wanted to visit her redneck family in Ohio. That's the reason that I flew. And that's exactly the reason that the airport sucks is that people like us can afford to go. The reason that it sucks nowadays is because it's not all rich people. It's not a bunch of people that understand that class is important. It's like ghetto folk. It's like people that grew up in the Appalachians. It's like, listen, It's like rural Minnesotans. It's average, everyday people. It's like towny bumpkins. And that is the reason that flying sucks nowadays. It's because your grandma and you are allowed on the plane. The reason that it used to be called civil is that only businessmen flew. Only businessmen were allowed to fly, could afford to fly. But nowadays, you'll see homeless people that'll literally go from airport to airport because it's cheaper.
But manners don't stop at the gate.
I love it.
That's right. Manners don't stop at the gate.
Hey, Sean P. Duffy, let's hear him.
Things aren't what they used to be.
No, they ain't.
Some would call it the golden age of travel. Let's bring civility and manners back. Ask yourself, are you helping a pregnant woman put her bag in the overhead bin?
Fuck that, bitch. Listen, if you're pregnant and you're dumb enough to fly, put your own bag up. I'm not fucking, no. I have a bad elbow. I'll hurt myself if I carry your stupid shit. It's full of maternity gear. It's impossible. There's no way I'm going to be able to lift that. What are you talking about? This whole, like, we're acting like it's a public bus. Pregnant women shouldn't be flying. Children shouldn't be flying. It should be elite business officials, men and women. The women from the show All's Fair, like lawyers, the men from Mad Men, like advertising executives. Those are the only people that should be allowed to fly. I'm saying this authentically and real right now. We should not be allowing commercial flights. I think that only private jets should be the ones that are allowed, and they're all company paid. Otherwise, everybody else needs to drive. I'm just going to say it. We need to go back to an era where flying is, to a degree, kind of this, like, behind the Golden Gates thing. It's sort of it would be really nice to make it to I don't know, Palm Beach via that 2-hour flight, but fuck it. Maybe we'll have to take a road trip. Maybe we'll have to actually look at each other and be a family for more than 5 minutes. Maybe we'll actually have to enjoy each other's company and not look at our phones. Maybe that's the way that society used to work instead of the now times where, like, you can fly and ignore your family and watch an in-flight movie and, like, you're in New Orleans in no time and that's it. Like, yeah, you'll enjoy each other on Canal Street, but that precious time when you could have been driving down there together, sure, it wipes out 4 days of your vacation. I don't give a shit. That's not my plan. It's up to you to plan. And also, vacations are for the wealthy. Let's just put it this way. Vacations are also a thing where it's like, I don't think that vacation resorts, they're also trashy now because, like, normal people can afford to go. And listen, I think my whole argument here is that when you make things accessible to the public, they're going to get worse. They're going to get worse, naturally. So maybe the solution is to keep them behind the pretty gates. And then every person who deserves them will work their way up in society to earn them. Maybe that's the way we do it.
Are you dressing with respect? Are you keeping control of your children?
Yes, okay, that's also very important. I've seen some people with out-of-control children, and they just give up on parenting. There's a lot of these, like, lazy-ass parents who just, like, let their kid run around. They let him play. They let him, like, yell in the shit. And it's so, like, a lot of people will go, you don't have kids, you don't know. Yeah, are you jealous? Are you really that jealous? Are you really that jealous that I didn't fuck up my life? Sorry, guess what, buddy? It's a lot easier to, find joy in your life than, going condomless. I'm sorry. Sorry to put it that way, but, like, there's a lot of other ways to enjoy your life besides, like, shooting out as many kids as you can, all because you wanted earthly pleasures, you fucking weirdo. Listen, it's not a masterful thing to have a kid, and also if you do have them, you should be good at handling them. Sorry to say it. Listen, a lot of people, they'll come at you because you don't have kids. You should be understanding. You can lecture all you want. You can lecture all you want because you have baby ick on your shirt. And I'm a normal person. I'm a normal person with no baby ick all over me. With no, nothing stressing me out when I get home. With nothing that is like, gonna whine at me because it needs me to sign a permission slip. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. And I can tell you're really jealous. And I'm sorry about that. It sucks. Let's let this guy finish out.
Are you saying thank you to your flight attendants and your pilots? Are
Pilots?
you saying please and thank you in general? The golden age of travel begins with you.
That was the dumbest video I've ever seen in my life. That was the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life. Let's play this clip from ABC
This
News.
week's social story, today's poll, we asked you to vote on whether there should be a dress code for flying after Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy suggested not wearing pajamas to the airport in a TV interview. And a few days later, launching a new civility campaign titled The Golden Age of Travel Starts With You. Take a look at this.
Ask yourself, are you helping a pregnant woman put her bag in the overhead bin? Are you dressing with respect? Are you keeping control of your children? Are you saying thank
Pregnant
you
women and children shouldn't be flying.
Are you saying please and thank you in general? The golden age of travel.
And then you'll have pregnant people. This is the funniest thing to me.
That's something, huh?
You'll have pregnant bitches coming up to you being like, yo, you cannot restrict, you can't say pregnant people can't be doing something. It's like, you chose that disability. I didn't choose that for you. I'm sorry. It's not like I'm saying we're not putting a wheelchair lift into our business because we don't want people who are in a wheelchair working here. It's not that. It's not anything like that. It's like the people in the wheelchair didn't choose to have sex to get in the wheelchair. And like you chose to have sex, and now you're with the consequences, and you expect the world around you to adjust because you went ahead and you chased earthly pleasures. Isn't that the funniest thing, that people, they expect the entire social arrangement to change just because someone gets pregnant or somebody has kids? Isn't that the silliest thing, when it's just like, oh wait, you chased earthly pleasures and now you're stuck with this screaming little you. That's all that you did, and it's not anything like ultimately whoa or whatever, like all the emotional stuff you can have with your own kid, but the rest of the world sees it as like, oh, you just got knocked up. You just got knocked up and now you're carrying around a mini, half you, half of the guy that you don't really like anymore. Okay, cool. That's kind of how the world works. I love when I just say things that make people hate me so much more. It's one of my favorite things. And like, listen, if you don't like me, but you bother to listen to the show, love you. You're probably one of my favorite people, more so than the fans who come back to listen because they do like me. I like you more if you come back to listen because you don't. Let's let this fucking play out.
64% of you answered no to dressing up. So let's talk about...
36% are normal people. They said, should there be a dress code for flying? Yes. 36% are normal civilians who go like, yeah, I don't have an issue wearing jeans because I'm like a thinker. And you'll have all these people that are going like, I just can't be bothered to be without my culottes and my neck pillow. I can't be bothered to be without that. Then don't fly. If you can't be bothered to dress nicely, like, we wouldn't have this rule for anywhere else. Have you noticed that? If like a public bus was like having issues where people were showing up half dressed and like looking like they rolled out of bed, I'm sure that we would go, listen, guys, you look homeless. You cannot be showing up to the bus stop on city buses. You can't show up looking homeless. It's ridiculous. There has to be a level of civility that we just portray with ourselves. And for some reason, it's a little bit too much to ask from Americans these days. And listen, I'm not going to judge I am going to judge Americans. That's pretty much all I do on this show.
About civility in the skies with spokesperson and travel expert for Going, Katie Nastro. So nice of you to join me again.
I don't care what she has to say because, quite frankly, I have my own article that I can refer to. Duffy frames these changes as unifying. He said, quote, when we unite around shared values, we feel more connected as a country. The campaign has sparked debate on whether voluntary etiquette revivals can truly curb chaos or if they romanticize an exclusionary past when flying was a luxury for the wealthy and not democratized for the masses of today. Supporters praise the emphasis on personal responsibility amid FAA projections of 360,000 holiday flights. But skeptics argue for structural fixes like wider seats or better staffing or over dress-up mandates. Like what? Wider seats lose the weight. I don't know what else to say about it. That's like, yeah, okay, cool. Yes, calorie restrict. As the DOT invests $12.5 billion in air traffic control overhauls, Duffy's statements signal a broader Trump administration push for cultural resets in travel, blending nostalgia with pragmatism to potentially redefine social norms at 30,000 feet. Yeah, yep, they're probably gonna do it. If they do, that's great. And, like, if you have to wear a suit to the airport and you bitch about it, I don't know what else to say except for don't fly. Don't fly because it was never meant for you. It was never invented. Everybody likes to pretend that like water parks and whatnot were invented for like the people who like the masses and whatnot. No, water parks, vacations, all of these things were invented for the ultra wealthy. Do you know what the servant class used to do? I mean, listen, at least vacations and shit are accessible to a lot of people nowadays. Do you know what the servant class used to do back in the day? They used to just work on the property that they lived on, and then they would die. Then they would die. They're like 40, 50 years after they were born, they would die. And then they would just live on that farm. They'd work for their family, and they'd live into their 60s, 70s or whatever. Then they would die. That's your whole story. There was no... If you lived in rural Iowa in, I will say, maybe the 1930s, there was no family vacation. Or even the 1950s, I will say this, there was no family vacation. If you were the working class, truly working class, not like middle class or whatever, if you were truly like the people who were slinging dirt for this society, you were not doing any of that. You were like, we're going to go to the lake this summer. The lake down the road. We're going to go to the lake this summer, and you kids, you're going to splash around in the swimming hole. And that's vacation. That's summer break. And then if you go to your dad and you're like, well, Aiden's family went to Lake Winnemucca in Wisconsin. And he'd be like, yeah, guess what? That's not us. We got rinsed. I'm sorry, little Johnny, but this family got rinsed. We got cleaned out last year. There's not going to be any vacations. I'm sorry. You're lucky that we have bread tonight, all right? That's it. Money's tight. Money is tight. And that's exactly what it was and what it will be. We're entering this new era again of like the serf class, except like the serf class, they're able to fly. And it's a little scary, and that's why it's gotten so uncivilized. Folks, let's jump into the rapid fire section of today's headlines. We have a few to cover, so we're just going to, boom, 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 jump in, bomb, bomb, bomb. You know how it goes. Georgia prosecutor drops charges against Trump in the 2020 election case. Fulton County DA Fannie Willis moved to dismiss the election interference indictment against President-elect Donald Trump and 18 co-defendants, citing the need for judicial finality amid a new grand jury process. This ends the years-long legal saga tied to the efforts to overturn Georgia's 2020 election results. That was the I need you to find me whatever results. It was fun. Everybody remembers that. A deadly fire has engulfed the Hong Kong high-rise, whatever I'm doing. At least 13 people were killed and dozens injured in a massive blaze that spread through multiple residential buildings in Hong Kong's Jordan district, trapping residents amid thick smoke. Firefighters battled the inferno for hours, marking one of the city's worst fire disasters in years. It's very Chicago. That's why we actually built roads out of wood for a while, and then those exacerbated the Chicago fires, and then we learned not to do that. But you will occasionally see roads that are like paved that are, whatever. Trump pushes Ukraine peace plan amid leaked envoy transcripts. President-elect Trump announced his fine-tuned strategy to end the Russia-Ukraine war, dispatching envoys Steve Witkoff to Moscow and Army Secretary Dan Driscoll to Kyiv. Leaked audio revealed U.S. coaching of Russian aides on pitching the deal, fueling accusations of undue influence. I mean, whatever they can do to score a final deal that'll stop the death, I'm okay with that. Folks, UK Chancellor delivers budget with tax hikes and benefit reforms. Rachel Reeves unveiled her autumn statement, raising taxes on millions while lifting the two-child benefit cap and pledging infrastructure investments. Critics, including Tory leader Kemi Badenoch, slammed it as breaking Labour's no tax rise pledges, sparking fierce parliamentary debate. I mean, I don't care much about the UK or their issues and whatnot. Half of them are named Mohammed now. It's great. They have their country, we have ours. Man pleads guilty in Liverpool victory parade. Car attack. A British driver sobbed in court after admitting to intentionally plowing into 29 Liverpool FC fans during the Premier League's title celebration, injuring them in a deliberate act. Sentencing is pending, with the incident shocking the football community. Not our football, the one that doesn't make much sense. The Saskatchewan Roughriders win the Grey Cup in thrilling upset. The Roughriders clinched their fifth CFL championship with a 25-17 victory over the Montreal Alouettes in Vancouver, capping a comeback season highlighted by a strong defense and a game-winning field goal. Good for them. I mean, I don't know what else to say. Jannik Sinner defends ATP Finals title against Alcaraz, world number 1. Jannik Sinner edged rival Carlos Alcaraz 7-6, 7-5 in Turin to retain his ATP Finals crown. Okay, whatever, cool. Pakistan Army kills 38 Taliban militants in raid. Pakistani forces eliminated 38 Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistani fighters in a coordinated operation across Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and Balochistan, targeting hideouts in Dura, Islamabad, and the North Waziristan. I love Middle Eastern countries because they're always the funnest to read. The strike's part of an intensified counterterrorism push, signaling escalating military pressure on insurgents. Good for Pakistan. If they can crush them, they can crush them. India's Test cricket team suffers crushing home loss to South Africa. South Africa stunned India by winning the first Test in Guwahati, ending the hosts' dominant home streak with a commanding performance. Good for them. Storm Claudia, devastates southern Portugal, killing 3. The powerful European windstorm made landfall, claiming at least 3 lives, injuring dozens in Portugal's Algarve district region. Thorough flooding and collapsed structures have been evaluated. Evacuations continue as high winds up to 120 kilometers an hour threaten further coastal damages across the Iberian Peninsula. That's not fun. People, that was our rapid fire section for the day. Let's hop into, not our third story. No, not our third story, folks. Tomorrow is Thanksgiving. So we, in honor of such, have a For Your Consideration segment. People, I know there's a real dislike out there for your family's beliefs, opinions, the way they live their life, them. But please do your best to discard those for just one sit-down meal. I know it may be tough to sit with your troublesome relatives, but in the spirit of the holiday, I decided to give you the survivalist guide to navigating the 2025 Thanksgiving conversations. Trump's back in the White House plotting his revenge tour, and your family looks like the Fox News panel crossed with MSNBC meltdown. We've got Aunt Karen with her Resist mug full of organic kombucha, and Uncle Bob, who's convinced that the turkey's not GMO-free and Maha approved. What's the key to survival? We're going to reduce the tension with humor. We're going to change the subject to football, or just pass the gravy boat like it's a peace pipe, you know? But if the issues of the day arise, remember, we're going to take a hit at both of the sides. We'll mock the crazies equally. Pour yourself a drink. You're going to need it. That's my advice. People are going to talk about Trump's return and his cabinet picks. When your crazy left-wing family member brings it up and they go, oh God, Trump's cabinet picks, they're like the Legion of Doom, RFK, as this HHS secretary, we're doomed. Handle it by saying, hey, at least it's not another boring Biden appointee who looks like they stopped at a Burger Hut before every committee meeting, you know? Pass the stuffing. You want me to stuff your ballot box next? That would be cool. You guys certainly need the votes. When your right-wing family member brings it up, they're going to be like, he's finally draining the swamp, finally real patriots like RFK Jr. You can counter it with, because nothing says health like a guy who backtracks on vaccines causing autism and about how beef oil's working as facial moisturizer. Can we talk about the Lions game instead? They're draining the end zone better than Trump ever drained the swamp. That's a great way to say it. Left-wing people may ask you or say to you, Trump's going to deport dreamers and build walls. It's fascist. Look, if we're deporting anyone, start with the relatives who overstay their welcome. I'm just going to say it. Like, half seriously, these half of these illegals are just here for the Black Friday deals. Same as you. It's like, that's the best way to look at it. And then the right-wing people will eventually respond with, finally, we're closing the border. Millions of criminals were pouring in. You can hit back with, nothing secures the border like a guy who married 2 immigrants. Let's deport the small talk first. How's the pie? Some people will bring up how tariffs, they're going to crush the working class. It's economic suicide. Oh, please. Like Biden's spending didn't inflate prices faster than Kardashian's lips. You want tariffs? Fine, I'll tariff your second helping if you don't calm down. Trump's tariffs, they're going to bring back jobs. America first. Sure. Next, we'll tariff common sense. But hey, if prices go up, at least we'll be too broke to argue about politics, right? How about more wine? They're coming for Roe. Women's bodies are under attack. You can handle it by saying, because nothing says pro-choice like forcing deaths on children who could have a chance at life because you hated their dad. If we're banning things, let's ban your uncle's jokes. People will tell you abortion is murder. Finally, sanity is returning. Sanity from the party who thinks that a zygote has more rights than a kindergartner with an AR-15? I mean, I don't know. People will bring up that the planet's dying. Trump's big oil plan will doom us all. They're going to doom us. Really? We're already doomed if we keep eating like this. Be sure, though, to virtue signal while burning dinosaur bone to carry your ass to get here. The climate is a hoax. Drill, baby, drill. Hoax? Yeah, tell that to Florida, who's sinking faster than Trump's poll numbers post-pre-election. Whatever. If we're fracking, can we frack open a beer and change the topic? That's my opinion. Another mass shooting. Ban assault weapons now. You can handle it by going, good luck in a country where guns outnumber the people. But if we're regulating, start with your portion sizes. People will go, guns don't kill people. Arm the teachers. Arm teachers? They can barely afford school supplies. Next, you'll want to arm the turkeys. What else is there to say? They're erasing trans people. It's a genocide. A genocide over bathroom bills. Hyperbole much. If we're protecting identities, let's identify the mystery meat in the casserole. No more woke gender nonsense. 2 sexes only. 2 sexes? Tell that to your browser history, bitch. But seriously, live and let live. Or at least let me live through dessert without this. People will tell you that Trump's selling out to Putin, abandoning a democracy. Democracy in a country that hasn't held an election in years because their dictator's too busy forcefully conscripting people off of their own land? Okay, fun. If we're cutting aid, maybe cut the family drama too. That's just my opinion. No more billions to Ukraine, America first. If we're cutting the flow of aid to Ukraine, let's cut the flow of shit into your mouth, okay, fatty? Isn't that your third helping? Fine, if Putin invades your man cave, don't come crying to me. That's all I will say. People will also bring up how I'm positive this is going to come up, folks. Don't be foolish. Genocide in the Gaza. Ceasefire now. Genocide? Those are strong words for a mess that both sides fueled. If we're calling truces, truce on politics. Hand me the rolls. People will also, on the right, they'll go stand with Israel. Hamas is evil. And they'll go evil, kind of like your fantasy football picks. But sure, bombs away. Meanwhile, the conversation is bombing. It's racist propaganda targeting Somalis. The welfare scandal's not real. Racist? It's like calling all of the fraud Somali, but if it's tax dollars, if tax dollars fund terror, that seems scarier than anything else in my personal view. And then people will go, see, welfare funds terrorists. Shut it down. Terrorists, half of your heroes dodge taxes too. But if we're auditing, we're all still in politics. Audit over, case closed. You would know that no Republican will be like, yeah, let's take a look at everybody's tax records. Yeah, no, none of them are in favor of that. People, let's remind our Puritan left friends, we voted for the same woman, you're just kind of why she lost. And let's remind our literal Puritan right-wing friends, enjoy the victory while you have it. Year 1 is over quicker than we all expected. There you have it. Survive by sarcasm, not by screaming. Remember, the real turkey at the table is anyone who thinks that their side has all the answers. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone, or as we say in politics, pass the buck. I appreciate you listening. I appreciate you being here. I cannot wait to see you on Friday. We'll have something special for you on Thanksgiving. But in the meantime, this has been your Brain on Air with Ollie Vogt Larson. People, enjoy the holidays. Enjoy your family. Set aside the politics for now and shut them down with the things that I gave you here today. In the meantime, this has been Ollie Vogt Larson with your Brain on Air. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. I will talk to you later. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and bye-bye.